Welcome back to the Tunes and Tales Podcast. I'm your host, Jay. Hope you guys have a happy Thanksgiving. Hope you guys having a good holiday. We took a break last week, but the program and the show is back. Welcome back, guys. So as usual, if you're new here, welcome to the Tunes and Tales Podcast. This is a podcast where we have amazing people share amazing stories that amazing songs remind them about. If you've been sticking with us for a minute, thank you for supporting us. Thank you for being a part of our family. Thank you for helping this podcast grow. I love you guys. I appreciate it. I can't express my gratitude enough because, it's simple to just not watch or don't care. So if you watch, more than one episode, you share it, you like it, whatever you do, I greatly appreciate it. I really do. So yeah. Let's get into the notes, I guess. So if you want to follow us on social media, we are on TikTok and Instagram at tunesandtalespod. You'll see it right below. We are also on Twitter or X at tunesandtalespod. We are on Facebook at Tunes and Tales Podcast. We are also on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, do me a favor, just go ahead, hit that subscribe button for me. I will greatly appreciate it. If you're watching and you want the option to listen on the go, whether you're doing chores, driving, just you want to listen on your headphones, wherever you want the audio version, we're available on all podcast platforms. So you'll see them right below: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, Amazon Music, wherever you can think of podcasts. That's where we are available. What else we got? If you are listening to the podcast and you want to share a story or a song, just a quick little, share or mention, you can message us on the social medias I mentioned before, but you can also email us at tunesandtalespod@gmail.com. Again, if you're watching, right below. All right, let's get into the show. This week we got, my guest is Sam. He is from Eritrea. I hope I'm saying that right. It's a country next to Ethiopia, and honestly, I didn't know it existed until I did this interview, so I felt a little bit ignorant going in. So I think it's a great interview. We kind of dive into religion a little bit. We express our feelings and thoughts on that, and we're open and honest dialogue, which I always appreciate having on this podcast. So without further ado, I hope you guys enjoy the conversation. Hope you guys learn something or, just take something away from it. I did. So ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the podcast, Sam. So, you ready to get into it?
I guess I never did nothing like this, but I'll follow your lead.
You're good. Yeah.
So,
thank you for coming on to the podcast.
Sounds good, man.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, of course.
So what is the memory or moment you want to talk about today?
So the memory is in the summer of 2004. It's the first time I ever left the continent. I technically left the country by visiting Toronto, Canada, but leaving the continent of North America and going to the furthest part from here, which is in Africa, which is East Africa, right?
Okay.
So that's definitely culture shock. Summer of 2004, I'm only 6.5 years old, but because it's absolutely the most completely different society or thing that I'm used to on a day-to-day, it's definitely something I remember. Those 2 months were just like, I can vividly remember those memories down there, even though I was so young, So that's the memory.
What country did you visit when you went to East Africa?
Yeah. So my roots are from Eritrea.
Eritrea?
A lot of people, Eritrea. Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of people will recognize the country Ethiopia, which we have a lot in common with and a big history with as well. We're very, very similar. We have the same alphabet. We eat the same food. The language is very similar. A lot of people will consider us the same people. We have a term that combines the both of us, and you may have heard of it. It's called Habesha.
I've never heard of that. So what does that mean?
It entails both of us, Ethiopians and Eritreans.
Oh, so it's like it's almost like Haiti and DR is considered Hispaniola. It's just like the one piece of land. Is that where you're getting at?
It's more of a joining of the two people, not necessarily. Well, I guess in the same sense, because those are recognized as two different countries, right?
Correct, right. So but they're on the same piece of land, right?
Yes. It's the same. Okay, in terms of that island, it's a little different because the history is very like you know what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
Yeah. It's a new country. It only became independent in 1991, and its own recognizes its own thing. Yeah.
Okay.
Nipsey Hussle, is that a big name that you've heard of?
Yeah.
Nipsey Hussle. Yeah. He's Eritrean. Well, he's half.
So
his dad's Eritrean.
So it's an official. Forgive my ignorance. I'm asking out pure ignorance here. Like, so it's an official country. Because to be honest, I've never heard. I've heard of Ethiopia, like you said, but I've never heard of it. So what was it like going back for you said the first and only time?
The first and only, yeah. That's true.
Yeah, so what was it like? You said you were 6, right?
6.5, yeah. And it was the summer. I spent my whole summer of 2004 there.
Oh, you spent the whole summer. Okay. All right. So what was we're going to pretty much go through this memory in steps because I feel like it sounds like there's a lot going on if you spent the summer there. So we're going to, like I said, we're going to kind of branch off, but like, let's start with what was it like going there for the first time? If you remember, like, were you happy? Like, do you want to be there? You want to go back home? Like, what was it like?
I mean, yeah, it's a really good question, especially at the age that I was at, because at a young age, you know, kids are, come on, man. It could be this one day, that another day. And within a week, they can go through every emotion. So I'll start off with my memory of landing. I was sleeping, right? So I'm pretty sure from the plane to the vehicle to the actual village and then our people waiting for us because their American cousin, like, you know, it was a really new experience for a lot of people there.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure I don't remember you know, getting off the plane into the view. I was knocked the entire time.
Right.
Yeah. So from Logan Airport we went to the UK and then to East Africa. So this like triangle kind of thing, and super long. Like I forget how many hours. It's between 16 and 19 hours.
Jesus, dude.
For the entire thing. Yeah, very long. So when I open my eyes and I'm awake, my first reaction is like, I don't even know. Like, I mean, I know this is the destination, but it's so long that I'm like,
here.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm just waking up and these like a village of people. Well, my family, and I'm in like this entire thing, like on some coming to America type stuff.
Like, welcome home.
right. But at least, you know, my family, and it's a pretty big family, and it's just this welcoming and this camaraderie I haven't witnessed at least up to my 6.5 years in America at that point. So that's the beginning of it, and my emotions was shy, I guess, in that. I felt shy in that moment, I guess.
Right.
I'm like,
yeah, and it's kind of hard to remember as a 6-year-old. So do you have so what did you do during the summer? Like, was it just like, was there any activities or any special moments you remembered from spending your summer there?
Yeah, traveling for sure. But like when we visited, we stayed with my grandmother on my mom's side. It was just my mom, me, and my middle brother. I would say.
Okay.
My dad stayed here, and we stayed with my grandmother in her area, and um, definitely the most common memories are the kids outside playing soccer every day. Every day they love soccer. Um, and before traveling, we had to kind of like settle in, get used to the people first. And as an American, that I don't speak my language fluently at all. I understand it for sure. You can
Right.
throw me in there and I'll figure my way around. However, clearly there's a which one of these is not like the other, kind of going on
Right.
there.
Who's the American? Right. Right.
Right. And again, kids are kids. Kids are
Right.
kids. And they had a term. Remember, this is '04, right? The summer of '04. They had a term that I was, if they didn't, someone didn't like me or whatever, this is the term you stick at them. And the term is, I don't even know what it means exactly. And when I brought it back to my dad and my mom was there, she was like, I don't know, but it definitely means you're an American, you're not one of us. The term is bushkobat. I was like,
Bushkobash?
bushkobat.
Bushkobat.
But it's definitely like, because like Bush, like George Bush,
Uh-huh.
like because you're American, and then
Bushkobat.
That stuck with me forever. Every time I was like not, I was like, it was time to make fun of the outsider. It was that little kid effect, the playground effect. That was definitely a term for me. Waiting.
Yeah, so it sounds like it was kind of like reverse, because so I'm assuming you were born in America, yes?
Boston here.
Okay,
Yep.
so it sounds like, because you hear the stories, like myself included, you immigrate, because I was born in Jamaica, moved here, and you kind of everybody, everywhere you go, you want to fit in, you know what I mean? Like, you don't want to stand out, you don't want to be the one that gets all the attention. So it sounds like it was kind of like a reverse version of that, leaving your comfort in America. Usually people go to America to try and assimilate and be part of whatever. So it sounds like you kind of flipped that, went home, quite literally went home, and you were kind of feeling or dealing with that aspect of it.
Yeah, and it's like, I'm not here to stay with y'all. I'm visiting. I'm going back to what I know, guys. Like,
all right.
Yeah, that's pretty funny thing to look at. I mean, they didn't. There was never the impression that was going to be the case. It's just kids. Again, kids are kids.
Right.
So
yeah, but I feel like the memories stick with you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, that's never going to leave me, because it's just like the first time I've ever felt like that. And
exactly.
And again, the younger you are, the more you're a sponge to information and things that happen to you, experiences. I couldn't compare that to anything in my life at that point. Like, what?
Right. Right.
So so I'd say the beginning. That's like the beginning of it. Of course, what comes after that is traveling, getting to know the history. One thing that politically separates Eritrea and Ethiopia, if you look into it, a bunch of wars and battles. I don't know how many wars technically, but maybe it was just one big like kind of endless war with many battles up till our independence in '91, I would say. But if you look geographically on the map, all right, we're below Egypt, we're right above Ethiopia, and if you see geographically, we share the Red Sea. I'm pretty sure we have the majority of the Red Sea than Egypt does. So a lot of what I was told was that there was a kind of economic interest in the war between the Middle East, because they're right there. It's across the Red Sea. It's Egypt,
right.
Eritrea, and the Middle East. It's right there through the Red Sea, and Ethiopia is just right under there. And there is. It makes sense that there would be some sort of political reason to kind of go at it.
Okay, so
it's even like a lot of our people. Yeah, a lot of our people will believe that like A lot of our people will believe, like, it's clearly told, like, through the story of Moses in scriptures, whether you read the Torah, the Bible, or whatever, that, Moses had released the people, the slaves of Israelite slaves, through Egypt, through the Red Sea. But because we share the Red Sea as well, they're like, it could have been through Eritrea. You never know. It's like one of those.
Right.
Yeah. Like
what was Egypt back then, right? It might not be the same land or landmass that. I can see that. So
there you go.
I want to ask. So does your parents, obviously Eritrea is how you say Eritrea? I want to make sure I pronounce it right.
Eritrean. They're Eritrean. Yes.
Okay. So
a lot of people pronounce it Eritrean. That's like the easier way. Eritrean.
Okay, gotcha. So your parents, they obviously are familiar with the history of the conflict between Ethiopia, right? How do they feel? Do they have like strong feelings towards Ethiopia, or it's like they don't care, or it doesn't bother them? Like, what would you say?
Yeah. Between the people, the people are not consumed in the politics as maybe over there a little bit more, but for the most part, I'd say above 50, around 60% they're good. They're good. They recognize there's bigger powers at play that don't necessarily care about, and you can find this all over, corruption all over the globe. It's not specific in certain areas. Yeah. They're good. So quick fun fact about my parents, since you're asking, is like my father, who's of Eritrean blood, 100%. He grew up in the capital of Ethiopia, which is Addis Ababa, and he grew up Addis Ababa. Yes, he grew up there. His experience is there. At a young age, my grandmother on his side and his mother had separated from her spouse, and he was the youngest. They went over there for whatever her reasons were. She started a new family. The rest of my uncles are half Ethiopian because of that. He's the oldest, and he was the only one. Okay. So, right, and even though he's a and I'm pretty sure throughout his growing up, they probably you can't tell an Ethiopian from an Eritrean, by the way. Like, you can't look at someone and be like,
ask. That's what I was going to ask next. So it's like, there's no distinctive features. I feel like it's just, like, hey, you just have to say it or wear something that symbolizes it, or, right?
Yeah, like, unless they're rocking the flag or hanging from their car or whatever, there's no way you can tell. It's just maybe like there might be little tribal stuff. We have different tribes in each of the countries. Like, a lot of people will look at what's his name? Nipsey is like the most famous out of Eritreans that you'll know. We're small. We're like 4 million population. Ethiopia's at 120 million. Like, it's not a thing.
Jesus. Yeah, it's not
like,
close.
I don't even know how we won I don't even know how we got independent from them. I just don't know. Right? All this is like 2021, updated population, Googleable stuff you can look at. Yeah, if you ask me. So in terms of the people, it's good. My parents, many times they go to. My parents are Christian. Many times they go to the Ethiopian churches here in Roxbury or all over Boston or whatever, and conferences and stuff. It's not a thing like that. Yeah.
Okay, good. All right. So you brought up church, and I kind of want to lead in, kind of discuss the religious side of it. A little bit. So again, this is all out of like ignorance. So I'm just asking because I generally don't know. Right. So what was religion like for you growing up? Or was it like a requirement, or is it like a free choice, or was it enforced? What was it like for you?
This is honestly, if you asked me a year ago, this is not my favorite topic. I'd still answer 100%, no problem.
Okay.
It was not my favorite topic. I throw it along with politics. I talk about them. I'm interested in them, but it's actually become my favorite topic as of the past year or so. you could say.
Okay.
So a lot of people when they hear like they're like, religion, But I'm cool. I'm game. I'm game. So in terms of, I'd like to say so in terms of free will and choice, but it's like, when you grow up under a household, it's that you're supposed, of course, you respect your parents, what they do. You're supposed to. We don't always 100%. No, I don't know what child does. That's not. I don't think that's a thing, 100%. But you would assume so, unless you steer in another direction towards some families it's disbelief, or some families it's in another religion.
Okay.
And so growing up, I only know what I'm being taught, or I grew up in the church 100%. My father was a pastor, I'd say 12 to 15 years on and off. I think that's fair to say, 12 to 15 years on and off here in Boston, Cambridge, Mass.
And this is Christianity? It's Christian?
This is Christianity, yes.
Okay.
100%. I'm raised a Christian. I wouldn't necessarily say through my own free will I've gone ahead and accepted it, but this is 100% my background. I followed it. I don't subscribe to me accepting it, if that makes sense. No, I followed it because, I followed it. You're under, even in an atheist background, if they say, hey, this is what we do every Saturday or what, you got to respect the roof you're under. You're just legally, you're under these guardians. It's just what it is. So.
Dude, I completely understand. So I grew up, have you ever heard of Seventh-day Adventist? It's like a subset of Christianity.
It's a denomination. What is the word I'm looking for? It starts with a D. That like it's the category where you go.
Exactly. It's under the umbrella.
The umbrella of Christianity, like Pentecostal, right. Baptist, evangelical. Exactly. My parents are evangelical. Yeah.
Exactly. So I grew up Seventh-day Adventist, and it's the same way for me. It's just looking at it now, because I'll be honest, I tell everybody, like, who asks, at least, I don't go around preaching this, but I tell everybody I'm agnostic. It is what it is. Like, I don't like, because it depends on who I talk to, it becomes like an issue and blah blah blah. So I just don't. For everybody's fucking sanity, I just don't do it. But right now, currently, I'm agnostic. But looking back, I definitely wouldn't have chosen Christianity. I was born into it. That's what I was introduced to. And, I followed the rules for a certain amount of years. You know what I mean? So that's just what it is.
It is what it is. I love that you brought up, because that's how when I was drawn further from the faith that I was raised in, just like you, to a degree, I was evangelical, but under the Christian idea, right? Ideology, I'd say ideology. Agnosticism is where I went. I thought it was atheism, but atheism means like you don't believe in
at all. Versus right. See, that's
right at all.
Right. Versus, atheism is out there for me.
Yeah, like a lot of people will think they're atheists when they're actually agnostics. They're just like in the middle. I don't know, maybe they're agnostic. Most people are agnostic if they say they're atheist. They just don't know that's what they hear. They hear atheist, they don't really hear agnostic. So yeah. It's funny recently, because not to expose to any viewers where we work or how we met. We can get into how we met, but we don't gotta expose. Right. But in the morning, I see your would that guy also be your boss as well? It's just
yes.
Okay, so cool. So we actually kind of he kind of fed into it. I'm not gonna lie. It's not I'm in a work environment. I'm not trying to ruffle some feathers, but he kind of he was I'm pretty sure his take is agnostic, but leaning into atheism. And he saw that I was in a garb at that moment, and he was interested if I had accepted Islam. And we went into it. I let him know that's something that I've gone ahead and done. And he was like, so he knows I'm of a believer in some sort of way. And he doesn't know I'm coming from agnosticism. That's how I had left. That's how I left my grown up faith, right, of Christianity, or at least challenged it. And he was like, oh, what, do you think there's a guy in the sky with a beard, a white beard?
No.
You know what I'm saying? I was like, is that coming from this belief of that? Is it? Oh yeah, touche, yeah. Because he sees me in a garb, and you don't see Christians wearing a garb like that.
Right. I feel like he was just starting to make up ideas in his head.
And then he was like, oh, I just saw my own little window, like that I look through, or what I've heard.
Exactly.
And, that's exactly. Most people, if you don't like research outside of it, you only know what you know. You know?
Right. But
I was starting to cut him up, man. Boom, 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 like with like agnostic points, because like if I'll let you go ahead and we'll see if I'll get it.
No, go ahead. No, finish. For real? It's okay. Yeah, no, it's fine.
So not much long ago, I really want to find the exact source of the study. I'm pretty sure one of the Cambridge, here in Boston, we have we're known for a lot of the academic universities or colleges around, and one of them did a study. I want to go back to it. I've lost the link or whatever. I'll definitely have it in my arsenal for these conversations. But they've done a study where they took toddlers, right? Toddlers from atheist backgrounds, meaning their parents hadn't given them any religious bias from an Islamic view or Christian view or any view. Like they're not really found have an idea of a bias for a God. Let's just say that.
Right.
And what they found in the study was like they'd show these toddlers an image of maybe a smartphone, an image of a car, an image of things that were clearly created by humans, right? And the toddlers would answer as such. They had like a natural inclination to be like, yeah, that's done by a man or a woman, or like their idea is like even if they said like mom, or even if they said like, oh, mommy or daddy, it's like their idea
it connects to a person, right?
It connects to a person. Versus when they show these toddlers a image of a mountain, yeah, they go, they don't. Again, the whole purpose is that they don't have a religious bias. That's why they're toddlers for the study, and that they're coming from atheist parents, right? And they don't say God. If someone wants to look at the study and be like, oh, well, you can't say we're all born to believe in God because they didn't say it. Well, they don't have the terminology yet. But what they described when they saw the mountain or the sky, or when they saw things that clearly humans cannot take credit for,
right?
Their description of what their just natural reaction was to these images was of a higher being that created it, not just a happening like the Big Bang.
They didn't have a name because they weren't taught a name.
Because they weren't, yeah. But their natural inclination is that someone had done this, and it wasn't a person, though. That's just their natural inclination. So I believe we're all born to look in that direction, like above the clouds or whatever, naturally, to something that's outside of the universe, that's putting these pieces together. But we grow up and we hear other opinions, and you kind of get programmed in whichever way, and then you come to an agnostic or atheist, or maybe a religious one. I think just above 50% of the world's population subscribes to a religion at least. So
okay, all right. So I want to shift gears. We're going to stay on religion a little bit, but I want to shift gears to how did you come to Islam? If you want to share it, like, was there a moment, or was it like intensive research?
Yeah.
How did you come to that?
Yeah. So in the faith, there's similarities to the faith I was raised in, because when you look under the umbrella of like categories of world religions, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, these three fall under the umbrella of Abrahamic religions, right? Hinduism, Buddhism, these other outside religions are not under the umbrella of Abrahamic religion. So we're going to find a lot of commonalities because it's within the same timeline to a degree.
Okay.
Now, I'll continue for sure, but because out of the respect of my father's household, I want to, for those who, I'm the only one who's not who subscribes to the religion I was raised under. So I don't want to.
Understood.
I don't want to get super deep cut, but I'll do as much as I think is okay.
Yeah, no, whatever you're comfortable with, dude. No worries.
Yeah, if we were in a different setting, man, I'd go off. I'd go off.
I get it.
And so to remember your question, right? It's how did the coming of such happen in my experience? And just off the research study that I brought up, I think that sort of answers your question to a degree. I don't have to go into more of stuff like that. It's long-winded. Fair. Yeah, it's long-winded too. I think we want to carry on a little bit more. Religion's a cool topic to me. So just based off that, I'd say a lot more logic and research over hope and faith.
Gotcha.
Versus when I was raised and for like the 15 years up to like 15, 16 years old, where I was following the religion Christianity that I was raised in, it's like I'm seeing a lot more faith than logical belief.
Right.
Yep.
Okay. Got it.
So how I came back into religion from, summarize that, how I came back into religion from an agnostic, from leaving religion into agnosticism was logic. Mm-hmm. I left it with logic. I came back to it in another way through logic. Yeah.
Logic. Okay. I kind of respect that.
It's not a common answer that you're going to hear, right?
No, because I see the similarities in myself, because I'm the same way. How I got to where I am now from a religious or spiritual, however people look at it, standpoint, it's definitely logic. Because I've always had questions that I've had answered based on religious, text or things, but it still just didn't make fucking sense to me. So, my whole life, it just kind of was like, yeah, they told me why X, Y, I won't get into details, but like X, Y, and Z. Yeah. And I'm like, it still makes no damn sense, and I kind of was feeling like it's not supposed to make sense. Just accept it, which it's not logic. It just makes no sense to me. But we're going to switch gears.
Yeah. Maybe gears. For a whole nother thing, we can like dive into it. It's a whole nother thing, man. And it's a cool thing to dive into for sure. Yeah.
All right. So before we get to the other part of the podcast we talked about, I kind of want to talk about one more thing, right? Sure. So after you went back to East Africa, you visited family, and did you feel closer to your culture, or was it something you already had, or did it instill that in you, or how did that go for you?
I think my parents did a really good job at representing my culture here. Along with us having a pretty tight-knit community of Habesha people here in Boston. The biggest group, community of Habesha peoples, for some reason, Washington, D.C. D.C. is huge in terms of our conferences and stuff. Up in Toronto, Canada is also big as well. Growing up, when I'm in the 7th or 8th grade, Drake is dropping his stuff. In his earlier work, he's talking about Habesha, East African Habesha girls and stuff. I was like, whoa! I looked it up. Toronto, yeah. Toronto got a big population of us up there as well. So I'm like, oh. So it's even though we're far away from the country, right? The furthest we are. Well, if you think about it geographically, right? Boston, we're on the eastern part of America, and then you got the Pacific, I believe, Ocean right here, right? I think that's
one of them oceans. I think it's the Pacific.
I feel so bad, but across across, right? So we're on the border of the nearest ocean on the east, and then the right, when you go to the middle, like Africa's in the middle of the globe, right? And it's like,
right.
if you touch Africa, you're on the completely opposite side of where I am, and Africa's huge. That's West Africa, like the first thing you touch.
Right.
And
right.
so even though we're so far away, I have that tight knit community here, and even in my household with like artifacts, looking around, kind of, it's here. It feels, I don't feel super, or growing up before I went there, I didn't feel super drawn away because of the community centers and my parents speaking the language to each other around the household and stuff. And even though they didn't, I blame them all the time. Like, why didn't you make me fluent and teach me? I still feel, it's not that far.
So you don't feel like any misconnection, because I have a lot of, again, being an immigrant myself. I have a few like friends who are immigrants, or they're children of immigrants. So a lot of times, like, even forget friends. I have so on my mom's side, my grandma had 13 kids, right?
Whew.
So I have a lot of cousins, and quite a few of them are in America, and their parents, my aunts, my uncles, they grew up in Jamaica. They moved here, have kids here. My cousins are born here. So I have a few cousins, like, they're Jamaican by blood, 100%, but they don't have that, that connection to the island like I have. I can go back to Jamaica right now, teleport in Jamaica, and it's like I never left. I can code switch, talk patois, like it's like I was never in America.
Ooh,
like, it's easy.
That's
you know
fire.
what I mean?
That's fire.
So, but I have cousins and friends, or not just Jamaica, it's Haiti, it's Trinidad. Like, they go back to their islands or respective countries, and it's they're lost. So it's good you're raised and you still have that connection to it. So that's great.
Dope. Yeah, for sure. Like, I just have a quick question about your Jamaican, like, roots. What's the, because I was grown and through my research growing up as well, not just what I heard, between the Rastas in Jamaica and Ethiopia with the emperor of late, rest in peace,
Haile Selassie.
Yeah,
Haile Selassie. Yeah.
And I heard like the tales and such, but what would you say from the island's perspective is like the makeup between Rastas and other Jamaicans, I guess? I don't know. I'm not sure.
So a lot of, I always preference for anything I talk about. In general, I always speak in journalism, and I don't speak for a group. I can't speak for all Rastafarians. I'm not technically a Rastafarian.
Gotcha.
I just have dreads. You know what I mean? So I just have the hair. I'm not the religion.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to say, right? So, but just based on my little knowledge I have of it, just again, growing up in Jamaica, being around things, again, it's not like I studied it or followed the faith, but based on my understanding of it, it's if you're a Rastafarian, you are, the main belief is that heaven, Bob Marley said it in a song, they believe that heaven is on the earth. You don't go to another dimension. There's no fucking fiery pits of hell. There's no clouds or pearly gates in the sky. Like, no, they believe heaven is on the earth in Ethiopia, Africa. I'm not sure how Haile Selassie intertwines with it. I think he's almost like a Muhammad, if I can give an equivalent.
A figure, and such of a figure of a follower. And
exactly, it's just he brings the message. He preaches the peace. He preaches his love, and but how I feel like we're going back to religion, but how this it again leads back to why I'm agnostic is like I feel like most religions, it's the base message, I feel like all religions are like, don't kill each other, love each other, be nice. You know what I mean? Share. So I feel like it's the core. That's also the core of it, and yeah, so that's just my understanding of it.
Right. When it gets diluted in terms of like those who, not everyone's going to do their research. They're just going to see like, all right, the media is showing me this. about this religious group or whatever, and they're gonna be like, they're gonna say the name of the ideology, and then they're gonna say they believe in what I saw this group do. And it's like, if you look up anytime they do that, if you look up the population of the Earth of that group, and you thought that that's what they would do, if you take like 2 to 5%, like let's say, for example, Islam. I mean, who's gonna come to mind when you think about religion and bad media, right? It's like terrorism. Like, we all think of the word terrorism.
Right.
It's like, if that's really what's in their books and stuff, which I never heard the contrary of them pulling up verses. They just can't do it. But if 1%, like Islam is just hit 2 billion people, like a quarter of the population, and we just cracked 8 billion people on Earth, by the way. And so 2, 4, 6, 8, it's a quarter of the Earth. It's 25%. And if 1% of 2 billion people actually followed what you think the media is telling you, you would have a way bigger problem.
It'd be over.
Like, it would be, you wouldn't even really like, when you talk to a Muslim, you wouldn't even say these things because that threat would be real, wouldn't it? You know what I'm saying? So it's coming from, like, they know deep down that the overwhelming majority of these people, and it just doesn't subscribe only to Islam, but the overwhelming majority of any religion you'd look into are very peaceful, very people that you call your neighbors and just kick it with or just talk to.
Right. And they're there for each other. And I feel like it's not people can believe in whatever they want, follow what faith they want. It's not an issue. It's just, I feel like, are you religious or not? Do you get the message? That's just what I'm big on.
Right.
Do you understand the message? That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. But all right. So you ready to get into what song you wanna?
Yeah, man. Let's do it, man. Music.
All right. So hold on, I'm gonna stop you right there.
Go it.
We're gonna take a quick break and we'll come back and do that part.
Yeah, my name is Sumon Fesahaye. To make it easier for everybody, you could just call me Sam. That's cool. So the song ultimately, right? Because I'm such a music fan, it's just like I can't pick one to describe even this memory. This memory is a big memory. It ultimately would be Jesus Walks, and it branches off into 2 others because they're a part of the same album that describes that year for me, 2004, even leading up to me going to East Africa in a part of that memory, which is spending my summer in East Africa, there in Eritrea. So again, being raised, right, not to bring religion, but it's part, being raised a Christian, rap music is like, to most parents that are, most religions would subscribe that it's the messaging, or 99% of the time, it's just not aligned with divinity and the ideology.
Right.
Most religions would agree, right?
Right.
So being raised, so that was my excuse, because like I was 6.5. It's not like, okay, Kanye dropped, right, and it's ironically or coincidentally, that album College Dropout in 2004 is on my mother's birthday. Like February 10th. It's so funny. My brother was
I'm gonna cut you off a little bit. Do you know? So on that College Dropout album, the song "All Falls Down."
That's part of the 3.
So that last verse, fuck the police. That's how I treat you. Buy a name at a jail, but we can't buy freedom. We'll buy leather clothes, but we don't really need them things we buy. Just go cover what we feel inside. That verse, to me, in my humble opinion, is the greatest fucking hip hop verse of all time.
Hey,
and this is why Kanye disappoints me so much. Because I held that verse to such a high regard, dude. You don't understand, like that, and a verse. Do you know who Killer Mike is? Rapper.
Yeah, I'm not too familiar with his work. Like, I know the Run the Jewels and I know the cover and stuff. I haven't listened.
Yeah. So he's a part of Run the Jewels, right? So Kanye West, 3rd verse, All Falls Down. Killer Mike. Do you remember Chameleonaire? Try to catch me riding dirty.
You see
So
me
on
rolling.
Chameleons, right. So on his first album, he has a song called Southern Takeover, and Killer Mike's verse on that is a close two. So it's Kanye, Killer Mike for the greatest fucking verses, in my opinion,
In your opinion,
of all goddamn time. But I just got to get that out. You can go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. You know, that's crazy. So ultimately, I'd go with Jesus Walks because I'm ready. So just to conclude this part of if I had to pick one, it's funny it's on the same album because it's just the memory and the time in 04 and yeah. So Jesus Walks because I'm raised a Christian and we're not supposed to be listening to rap music, but I can sell it like no, mom, this is a new, right? It's his first album. This is a new Christian rapper. Yeah. Jesus Walks. Like it's such a lie.
God, show me the way.
But I mean, for that song, right? You can kind of pitch it. Oh, that's the best song to pitch a Christian rapper.
Definitely.
Which is just he's kind of you know, we know, yeah, he's 1 foot in, 1 foot out, you know, especially with the 2023 perspective versus the 04. Like, come on. Right. What do we know about him then versus now? It's just like, but I was only 6.5, so like my older brother, my middle brother, he's so I'm 6.5, he's 13, about 7 years away from me, and he had like a few songs burnt on the CD. We're in 04, we don't got an iPod or whatever. It's just an MP3 player on burnt CDs of songs fire songs that we love. So it's not like I had the whole College Dropout, but we had definitely those three. I'm pretty sure it was on the MP3, and so Jesus Walks was my like first like okay, you know, and because you know hip hop is such a dope genre, and so Jesus Walks is the ultimate. If I had to say one for the memory, but All Falls Down and let's see, Jesus Walks, All Falls Down, and I'm losing it right now. What's the third
Through
thing?
The Wire?
Oh, my favorite song, my favorite song of all time, Through the Wire. Yeah. Woo! I mean, that like, man. Even like on the track, him recording that is a story. You can hear, like, he has to have his jaws wired shut. He's not enunciating perfectly. Man, what a just like it's almost like if A&R, you know, when you hear A&Rs, they're kind of like supposed to coach the artist. It's not supposed to be the most organic thing. Like there's a machine behind the artist.
Right.
And it's like, that was like the ultimate, it's like they couldn't have made that up. He had to go through a car crash to do this, that, or else.
Right. Can you imagine staging a car accident so you can make a fire song?
And jarring your wire shut, like going to like, come on. That's
drinking through a straw so you can make a hit.
Right.
Crazy.
And before even Google Images, when you watch the music video, this is 04 again we're talking about, you can see, I mean, it's clear in that Polaroid that he is like,
right.
Man.
Yeah.
So that's a story. That's tales. That's tunes and tales within itself, bro. Like, oh my God.
That's the podcast, baby. All right. So real quick, I want to ask you. So obviously, it seems like we're both initial fans of Kanye. How do you feel about him currently? I see the laugh, bro. I see the laugh.
It's not. Yeah, man. It's like, man, it's a roller coaster ride of like. Of like being raised at the, you know, because like artists, there's a connection between, and when an artist releases and like if you're within the same age group as them and the time you're going through like high school and stuff or whatever, or even through adulthood, because like when he came out he's like 26. I'm 25 right now, by the way, just throw it out there. But he was like 26, so I could see like people who just dropped out of college and they're 4 years out of college figuring it out like him, and you know, relating in that way. But then if they're a generational artist like someone like him, there's a connection between the older, cooler guy right now and then these young kids that's going on, right? And it's like it's a roller coaster. I'll just start to say it's a roller coaster ride throughout his 2023. So 04. It's almost 20 years that he's been doing it, right? Damn, doesn't it feel like that? It makes me feel old. Long time. But yeah, even when I think about my memory that I just told you about, geez. But like, so ups and downs for sure. You're asking me from a 2023 perspective?
Yeah.
I
So until
mean,
who he is today, till this moment, till the latest headline. I don't know what the late. To be honest,
I know, yeah,
I
yeah,
stopped caring a
yeah.
long
I
time
know,
ago.
man. It's like,
You know,
how
and
could,
it sucks, but
okay, so my honest, like, he's, I'd probably deem him, in the sense of the word, an artist, right? Let's just, before I get into like my current view of him, I want to do some justice just from
mm-hmm.
what his work and inspiration has meant to me. I'll just say, as in the term of the sense an artist, what an artist is, I don't think anyone has covered the criteria or the well-roundedness of that sense of the word and as to the degree he has. If someone, I would deem him the greatest artist of all time, but I think that if someone else makes that claim or whatever, even if I didn't and I said like maybe Jay-Z or someone in another genre, Michael Jackson, right?
Right,
It's like it's like he's covered. Art is in the fashion industry. Art is in of course music. Art is within paintings and stuff like that. And I think he hasn't covered every boundary. I'm not saying that, but the levels in artistry in whatever category, I don't
mm-hmm.
think anyone matches. If we're just given the credit out, you know what I'm saying? I don't think anyone matches.
It's hard to think. It's hard to think, and I mean, when it comes to topics like this, I always go back to, and you said it, you're talking based on art. But when it comes to like, who's the greatest artist or who's the greatest musician, rapper, whatever, it always comes down to, I always ask is, what's your definition of greatest? Like when they're like, who's the greatest rapper of all time? Okay, what's your definition of a great rapper? Is it
What's your
lyrics,
criteria?
hits? Like, exactly.
Yeah.
So I think it always comes down to, what is your definition of the GOAT, of the greatest artist? So, I mean, personally, for me, Kanye, I mean, he's up there, but he's not the greatest artist. You want to talk greatest artist? I think it's Michael Jackson. You know what I mean? But I'd be lying. I'd be lying if I say Kanye is not in the conversation. You know what I mean? I'd be lying if I didn't say that.
Yeah,
so,
Mike is like,
that's just my opinion.
Man, someone like, I don't think anyone's perfected whatever they do. Like maybe artists is like Basquiat, Van Gogh, like any category of art. I don't think anyone has perfected their category, their craft, to the degree that guy has.
All right, and it's the thing. My thing with Michael
I'm
Jackson
talking about Michael, by the way. Yeah.
Yeah. And my thing with Michael Jackson is, and again, Kanye definitely has it in him, is when I feel like when people think of like, musicians or artists, they think of like, oh, like, do they make great songs? Yeah, and that's a requirement. Check. 100%. That's one of the top requirements, top of the list. But I feel like a great artist, he's able to live a not human life well. That makes sense?
Yeah,
because I feel like that's a skill nobody fucking talks about. To imagine being Michael Jackson,
the most famous man at the time that he was alive. There's other people of all time that are more famous, but at the time, anyone's walking time on Earth, like, okay, if you want to go into religion, Jesus, Muhammad, these people were not. Jesus had 12 followers, bro, when he was walking on Earth.
Right? He just didn't have the gram, bro.
when Michael Jackson walked down the street at like almost any point of his career, he could have been like the 5-year-old Jackson 5 kid. Like he would have had a parade behind him. You know what I'm saying?
100%.
Yeah. So 100%. You're coming from an angle of like fame.
Yeah.
Who handled their fame?
And it's just the way you handle it, the way you, because I feel like it's grossly underrated. And Michael Jackson had his moments in the media and the tabloids, his accusations. I'm not dismissing any of that. It's just I feel like the ability to present yourself as something supernatural per se, or like not human, is an art in itself. You know what I mean? Like, and he comes off as, and again, I'm not making this up, he comes off as God to some people, like straight up. You know what I mean? That's not easy. Like,
yeah,
it's easy to be human. It's easy to be flawed. It's easy to be seen as a fuck up. It's easy, it's not easy to fucking literally people kissed. When the man died, the world literally stopped. Like the news stopped. If it wasn't Michael Jackson, you weren't getting on the news. Like, it's just, So I think
most people
in
who
that
are.
sense, go ahead.
No. I know where it's 09. I'm born 97, so I'm 09. I'm 11. It's in the summer. It's like June, July when he passed. I'm 11 and a half, just like I was 6.5 in 04. So I'm 11 and a half, right? I know exactly where I was. I know the reaction of the people on me. I live out here in Malden, born and raised, born in Boston, raised up here in Malden. And there's a famous street called, for basketball here in Malden, it's called Green Street, where everyone comes to play and on the court and stuff. Someone pulled up on the side, right, on the street, through the fence, just pulled up, rolled his window down. Yo, Michael Jackson, Pat, he just died. Everyone was like, what? Like,
what?
Everyone's playing hooping. Like, you couldn't have said anything else that would stop people from hooping. Everyone was like, wait, hold on, what? And like the iPhone 3 was out. 09. Right, the iPhone 3 is out. So people could still like, man, yeah, the world stopped. You're right.
Dude, I remember, I don't know if I was in class the moment it happened.
In the summer?
Or it was no, so it wasn't because I remember, I was around friends.
Unless you're in summer school, bro.
No, it wasn't for. I just remember because the people in what I'm about to tell you, they're my classmates, and I can't remember being around them not in school, but I was probably just hanging out with them or something, whatever. But I remember when the news came out, like this one girl just started crying, like it's like you told her mom just died. Like she was just fucking like bawling, like uncontrollable, and I'm like, I was sad too. Don't get me wrong, but I was looking at her like Michael Jackson got it, bro. He got it. He got it, bro. He got it.
And that is, I understand the credibility you're applying to, but it's like, it's an odd thing to think about. I want to circle back to Ye and how I feel like to answer that question.
Yeah, no, go ahead. We'll go there and then we can wrap this up.
Being someone who grew up as like, that's my generational artist, literally. It's like I had to, every time people ask, they're like, oh, he's lost his rails. And I'll get into it. I'm going to give him this credit before I you know what I'm saying?
100%.
Yeah. So in terms of that, it's like, I get it. He made, and to me, he's probably top after, he could, if someone says, I'm not arguing. Like for basketball, if someone says, oh, Michael Jordan or Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, there's a few people that if you say it's the GOAT, I'm not going to argue with you. Like it's
right.
They can apply. They have the credentials, right? And Michael's there. But even though it's like it's like, is he a deity to you? Is he someone that is going to, like, if there was an afterlife, he's going to be the one that's going to grant you that afterlife or not? It's like,
I mean, shit, maybe. Who the fuck?
Like what? I don't understand. You gotta explain to me through what song? Like Billie Jean? Hold on. We kind of cut out there. I was like, if you're still there. No, I wondered if you could still hear me.
My bad, sorry.
No, you're good. It kind of lagged right there, but we're good. We've been good, like for me this whole time. But yeah, it's like, okay. But I get it to a degree. Like it's like a family member to them, but for Ye, just to wrap that up, how do I feel? Like, I didn't do justice to your question because I really didn't answer it. If what they say is true to the degree that, or what he says, by the way, people are, we don't know what his, he said he's diagnosed with bipolar.
Right.
I don't want to be an assumer of things, but sometimes when things go left, people will be like, "Oh, I just found out when I was younger, and they're not. There's a good chance they're not telling the truth. If he's telling the truth, there's research on those switches and stuff like that. If he's not, then he's done everything in his power, what I see, to stay relevant outside of music, whether it's fashion and now through him being with a high profile celebrity and through marriage and having kids with them. Clearly, he's thinking about his stardom to a degree. So if it's in that realm where art is art, and when you're great at it, you're going to be famous for being great at it. And he was. No one looked at him for political. Well, In 04, he did say George Bush doesn't care about black people. I forgot about that.
Right, and became like a messiah for black people after that shit.
Yeah. And then when you mix that with the album he already just dropped, or at that time, I'm pretty sure he just dropped. It was February, so that's early of the year. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure, and with that verse right there, and a lot of other songs that are dealing with, he had other songs that are dealing with the African American history and struggle and stuff. You know what? I see the correlation right now. But in terms of if it's true with actual diagnosing of bipolarism, or come on, it's like, what am I going to say to that? If not, then I can't respect the career in a totality sense of staying relevant. Art,
I respect that.
Yeah, art, great. That. Yeah. So there's my.
And that's kind of how I feel, because like I said, I think he has quite literally the greatest hip hop verse of all time, but that still doesn't excuse whatever. Because I personally think he's full of shit right now. That's my opinion. I don't know. I have no proof, but if he is full of shit, you having, to me, the greatest hip hop verse does not excuse anything. Because now it's some things are just bigger than art, and fucking up people's lives, just saying hurtful shit or blah blah blah. It's like it's just not. It's your music or your art doesn't excuse it.
Right. I agree. And because we talked about Mike quickly, I'd just add, we know what the worst allegation that he has against him. I don't necessarily, if I was to, well, I'm a Muslim now. I can't say if I was to bet. There's no bet, no gambling here.
Right, there's no betting.
But if I was to make a guess that I think is true, right? If I had the answer, I think he didn't do it. If you look at his story, how he was raised, he didn't really have a childhood. You know what I'm saying? I can really genuinely. So for him to be Joe Jackson made him that pinpoint, dancer artist that he became to be. And the reason why I mention him is in that sense is that if his attention to detail, the songs, and how great he is, I'd argue the same thing. If that's true, I don't subscribe to it being true. But if it is, all that stuff that those people, those people be like, he's like, oh my God, Billie Jean, or whatever they love him for.
Out the window, bro. Out the window. I'm sorry. You're right. 100% right, bro. 100% right.
There you go.
I agree.
There you go.
All right. So before we wrap this up, I like to play this game at the end of the episode called On the Spot. So On the Spot is pretty much a game where I ask you 3 different scenarios, and quickly off the top of your head, you have to give me a song that goes with it. Just whatever pops in your head.
Boom.
All right. So let me know when you're ready.
Let's go.
All right. You can only ready. Sorry. First one. You can only listen to one song on your way to work.
Oh, sure. Through the Wire, I guess.
Through the Wire. All right. Cool. Go back in time and take credit for.
If I could just interject right here, I music has been up till now. Now that I'm diving deeper into the Islamic faith, so I'm drawing a little bit away from music. But up till the past year, the amount of albums and everything through hip hop and not much R&B, but through hip hop, is so much. The newer generation artists, Juice WRLD X, the older generation, it's on the spot, but I can't really just but I'll do my best.
No, but that's the point of the game, is to kind of put you in that uncomfortable and make you think quick and decide.
I wish I wasn't the music head that I am. I wish I wasn't, so it could be a lot easier.
You're supposed to feel this way. Don't worry.
Yeah.
All right, ready for the next one?
Yeah.
All right, go back in time and take credit for creating one song.
Me? Oh, me, yep. Yeah.
So you go back in time and you get to make one song and you get the credit for it.
That's a song that exists already, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm not supposed to be on the spot. I'm not supposed to think. Sicko Mode. I don't know.
Sicko Mode, Travis Scott. Got it. All right. Last one. Just made $2 million.
I don't like you, and I don't like this answer. Yeah. I hate you right now. Like that's not the right.
Last
That's not
one.
the right answer. But it's off the. I hate you.
It's off the top, man. On the spot. That's the whole point.
Yeah.
All right. Last one. Just made $2 million off stocks. What song?
Just made $2 million off stocks. Wow. It's gotta be a Jay-Z song. I don't know. Let's say, is it called The Story of OJ? I don't know. I guess.
The Story of OJ. All right, that's it. I'm gonna take it. All right, man. That's it. The camera is yours. Is there anything you want to say or plug before we hop off?
No, I think this is a dope idea that you're going in this direction. I told you I got an older brother who's a comedian, and he's already worked on his first podcast in the past few years with another comedian, and now he's doing a thing on his own. And no, when you presented this to me, I was like, he is my oldest brother. I'm like, why ain't he ever asked me to be a guest? With the guy who works right above me. You know what I'm saying? He's coming to me. He's like, yo, you want to be on my podcast? I'm like, yo, yeah. Even though, like, you know what I'm saying? I've never done anything, or I've been in that setting once. My older brother interviewed the mayor of Malden
nice.
in 2021. And I was in that room in the city hall. But this is dope, bro. Thank you so much. Thank you.
I appreciate that. All right, my guy. I want to thank you so much for coming on. We had a great conversation, man. I love when the conversation, it's stimulating, it's challenging. It was a fun conversation. So thank you for coming on. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Right, thank you so much, man. I wouldn't have agreed if I had nothing to bring to the table. So man, this is dope. I hope you take this to the moon, man, if it's possible.
All right, appreciate you, bro. We'll talk later, okay?
Hey, have a good one.